There are things that you know that you know. Then there are things that you know that you don't know. But there are also things you don't even know that you don't know. And these are the ones that handicap you the most. Alright, it's Boom Margaret Brother. Welcome back to another installment of Edutainment, a place where you're laughing, learning, but most importantly, where you're applying things into your own personal life to improve it and make it better. Self-development while enjoying it with laughter along the way. So in today's video, we are going to get nosy into the financial history of Miss Monica Church. So
guess what, Jennifer? Karen, stop being so nosy. Get out of here.
You know what, Sandra? Fuck you.
no long talk. We'll walk on that subscribe button, whoa, on that like button, and let's get into it.
So the other day, I uploaded a vlog on my vlog channel about how I got scammed $10,000. I was really nervous to upload it because I was afraid people were going to judge me for my mistakes in wasting money, but it was actually really well received. There was one comment from Life of Candace, and it read, "Honestly, part of growing up is making bad financial decisions. They don't have to always be this big, but it happens to the best of us. Don't beat yourself up too much." And I think that's so true. No matter how smart you are, how good you are with money, you're going to make bad financial decisions. So today I wanted to share the top 6 stupid financial mistakes that I made, and maybe you can learn from them. If you guys have any stupid financial mistakes you've made, comment them below so I don't feel so dumb and alone on this. Disclaimer, I know I made a lot of dumb mistakes, but I've also saved like over half the money that I make. So even though I made dumb mistakes, I'm not like totally just throwing my money down the drain. I want to preface this with I'm in a very interesting financial situation. From the age of 18,
I would say one of my worst decisions, financial decisions I made in the past year is lending out money to people that ultimately didn't pay me back, right? There was this person, they were always borrowing money one way or another, right? But they would always pay me back. It started off with $20, then $50, then $60. Then in 1 month, they were like, "Yo, can you help me pay my rent? I'll pay you back the next month." $625 or something like that was the cost. I paid that money back because they had shown a proven history of paying money back, right? Next thing you know, 2 months later, I still don't got the money.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
So, one of the worst financial decisions I made in the past year, I've been pretty smart for the most part, but within the past year, is lending money out that I'm not willing to lose. When it comes to friends, family, whoever, and whomever, never lend out money that you aren't willing to lose. If you ask 100, give them the 100, give them 50, give them a lesser amount, or give them nothing. And you will not compromise your own financial health, or more than likely if they don't pay you back, that relationship will also be compromised and you guys will probably not be friends anymore, right? So that within the past year, never lend out money that you aren't willing to lose.
I've made way more money than the average 18-year-old, 19, 20, 21, 22, even 23-year-old. Making more money is fun, but there's also responsibility that goes along with it. I've definitely learned a lot, and I've made some dumb financial mistakes. Financial mistake number 1, the interior designer. If you want all the details on this, you can go check out my vlogs. I'll have that vlog linked below of how me and Shelby kind of got scammed like $10,000. By the way, I vlog on my vlog channel again. I know a lot of people are confused because I stopped vlogging on there for a while, put vlogs on here. I decided that was a stupid idea. I'm just gonna put them back on my vlog channel. So I'm vlogging on my vlog channel again. So if you want to see more of my life, I'll have that link below. You can check that out. Long story short, if you don't want to watch the vlog, me and Shelby hired an interior designer. She pretty much lied about stuff and then like had these hidden fees that we had to pay that she never said up front. She did a bad job. She cheaped out. I think she lied and didn't spend all the money. She didn't even finish the job, and that was a totally huge mistake.
Yeah, I think that I don't like it, and I spent a lot of money on it.
Biggest thing I learned from that was to do more research. You know, didn't do my research on this lady, have a contract in place, probably wasn't cut out to be hiring an interior designer.
So essentially, when it comes to people in general, when you're hiring them to do a job, it is so crucial that you get a second-hand review. Or that's why reviews are so big on Amazon, reviews are so big on Airbnb. Reviews. That's why in a lot of cases, especially when you're brand new and you're still trying to build up your clientele, you need to either take a lesser amount compared to your competitors, or you do it for free. Once they've trusted you and they recommend you to their friends, then you can start charging. Especially if it's someone you know that has physically used that product or that service that can vouch for them, definitely. But if not, always Google search that person's name or that person's company and then review. And then you'll be better off making a more informed decision when it comes to dealing with that company or person?
I'm just like so in trouble with the law right now. Financial mistake number 2 I'm actually dealing with right now because I'm such an idiot. There's something about me, I think I get this from my mom, but when I get something like a parking ticket, I always wait till the last day to pay it. Why don't I just pay it that day? I actually got a parking ticket this morning and paid it right away. I just want you guys to know my habits are changing. But when I get like a parking ticket, or in Seattle there's a toll bridge, whenever I go over that toll bridge, I'll get the toll in the mail, and I'll always get the mail and just kind of decide in my brain, if I just like put it away, that it's not real, when it is real, it is an actual fee that I need to pay, and then it expires and the fee will double. And I've paid so many fees that have doubled because I am just dumb. There's a toll bridge in Seattle, it's called the 520 bridge. Every time you go over it, you get charged like $3 or whatever. You get a thing in the mail, you know, it's just the $3 charge. And I had like 6 of these $3 charges and I forgot to pay them. Months have gone by and I just got a letter in the mail that these all turned into civil penalties, and instead of owing what would have been like $25, all of the fees got bumped up and now I owe $350 on something that should have been like $20. And it's just because I was irresponsible and just didn't pay it on time. So that is like such a stupid financial mistake. I have the means to pay for it. Why do I ignore it? My third
When it comes to tickets, a little hack that will definitely be beneficial to you. So you get the ticket, right? You go, either you pay it, or if you want to dispute it, dispute it. But this is where things can get a little bit like tricky if you're not careful. If you want to pay for it right away, just pay for it. But if you're trying to save money, or you think you are in the right and the officer or whoever is in the wrong, and you want to dispute it, they give you a deadline to dispute. Wait a day or 2 or 3 days before the actual deadline, because usually once you dispute it, they take you to court, or you take them to court and then you talk about the situation in court, right? But the longer the timeline is from the actual incident, the more likely it is that the officer or the person that gave you the ticket will not show up. So what I did at one time was I waited like 2 days before the deadline to dispute. Then I think the court date was coming up. Then I waited like a week or 2 before the actual court date. I went back to City Hall and I asked them, yo, I can't make it for that day. Can you extend it further? So initially my incident happened in February, and I didn't have the court appearance until like I think it was September or October. Right? So, and then what happened was I went to court, showed up, but the officer who wrote me the ticket didn't show up, and the thing got dismissed. So if you play your cards right, and if you can maybe set a reminder to yourself to delay the court date as much as possible, the more likely it is that, you know, just in general, the further something is away, the more likely you are to become busy, or, you know, you just forget about it. So that's a little hack if you can be responsible with ensuring that you extend the court date before the deadline.
mistake was the 3rd car that I ever purchased, and it was a Honda Civic. So basically the financial mistake I made with this was we went to the Honda dealership and we literally test drove the first car that we saw and got it that day. We had enough money in our bank account to pay it in full that day, but the car salesman talked us into doing a little financing plan, paying for like half that day and then doing monthly payments. And he did have a good reason for this. We were young, we were like 19 at the time, we didn't really have any credit. So he was like, hey, do monthly payments for a few months and then that'll really help you build credit and then pay it off after that. If you guys didn't know this, car dealerships make a lot of their money off the financing and they charge interest, and that interest rate is what really makes them a lot more money. So, you know, everything would have been well and good if we would have just paid it off after a couple months, but we waited like 4 years to fully pay it off. We just kept paying the monthly fees by not paying it off right away. Like,
bruh, never, ever, ever, ever in your life finance something with a depreciating value. Right? It's one thing to get a mortgage, and mortgage is a form of financing in a way, weird way, but on a house, right, it is increasing in value and it is making you more money. But if you're financing something, or especially when it comes to a car, Why are you financing something that's not making you more money? Understood? Understand? Do you understand? Shombo, are you listening? Don't finance something that is not making you more money. Unless you have the money to buy the car already, you are financing it, but you're using that money on a different investment that is giving you a different ROI. So let's say the interest rate of the car is 5%, but the investment that you're making with the money that you would have used for the car is giving you maybe 10% or something else, right? In that case, it makes sense to finance while you use the money that you would have used for the car to pay it out, to pay it off in cash on something else. But in a lot of cases, that money is just sitting around and it's not doing much for you. So it makes sense to just pay it in cash and go about your day. Because in the event that you finance that car and you lose your job, what's happening now? Now the so-called credit you were building is gonna plummet because you don't have the money or the capital like you used to pay for that monthly fee or to pay for that monthly purchase.
We totally had the means to do. We paid an extra couple $1,000s in interest as a whole, which was such a waste of money. Mistake number 4. As you guys know, I've moved a lot. The last 2 years I lived in LA, I lived in a beautiful apartment and it was in a great neighborhood and it was really, really expensive. Okay, I'm gonna tell you how much it was. I know it's crazy. A 2-bedroom apartment for $4,300 a month. Me and Shelby shared it. I had the better room, so I paid $2,300 a month, and then plus cable, utilities, internet. So it was a couple $100s. So I was really paying like $2,500 a month. If you Google like how much percentage of your income is normal to spend on rent, it is 30%. I was actually spending less than 30%, given my income at the time. So technically, it's not like the worst mistake in the world. I was still living within my means, but I look back on it now, and I think about the places I live in now that are so much cheaper. I just can't believe I spent $2,500 a month on rent. That's just money you're throwing down the drain.
The amount that you have to pay for what you get living in California, even though I can afford it, I hate it and I don't want to live like that.
I can't live in Cali. I can't live in Cali. But usually what happens is the closer you live to downtown, the higher the rent price will be. So usually what you do, typically what you want to do is live a bit further away from downtown and then save the money on rent and then just disperse that money to transportation costs to get to your school or work, whatever it is, right? But that's the average amount. 30% of your income, or 35 at the most, should be going towards rent or mortgage for that matter too, right? But other than that, you don't want to go beyond that 30% range because because you want to look at your fixed expenses and then work backwards.
It's such an expensive lifestyle.
Every first of the month where I'd pay rent, I would just kind of have this weird feeling in my stomach of feeling guilty about it. Even though I could afford it, I would always think to myself, do I really need this luxury? I really, really don't, especially at this point in my life. I'm so much happier in the house that I live in now, and I actually only pay $1,200 in rent. So that's over $1,000 less. I'm saving an extra $12,000 to $15,000 a year that I could be putting towards a 401k or a savings account to eventually buy a house. Although I liked that apartment, I totally regret spending that much money on an apartment. Number 5 is spending ridiculous amounts of money on last minute travel. These days, I do a little bit more planning. I search for the best deals, but before I was so impulsive, I would just fly to Seattle the same day. And sometimes the flights would be a good deal, but sometimes they'd be very, very expensive. This one time in particular, I really liked this guy and I was living in LA and he was in Seattle and I really wanted to go see him. So I looked up flights and they were $750 to go from LA to Seattle. Typically a flight like that, if you plan it in advance, costs like $150, but it was $750 and I really wanted to see him and I bought the flight. Looking back now, was it worth it? No, not at all. I should have waited. So
The things love makes you do. The things love makes you do. As with anything when it comes to transportation, Greyhound, flights, the farther ahead you plan, the cheaper the price will be. Just, supply and demand. Makes sense. But yo, ask yourself, especially when it comes to the love aspect, if you and this person stop talking, would you be upset at yourself for spending this amount of money? Whether it be loaning them the money, whether it be flying from so-and-so place to other place to see them. When it comes to love and relationships, ask yourself, would you be upset for spending this amount of money on said person? If not, then go ahead, do you, boo, do you, fam. But if you would, and things fell through, don't get lost in the sauce of love, okay? But yo, God bless, much love, peace, and joy. Namaste. Always remember, if it doesn't feed you, don't water it, and too much of any good thing is good for nothing. Alright, fam. Deuces.